Good morning. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad that you're with us today. If you're visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. And if you'd like to join us for coffee hour downstairs, please feel free to grab a green mug so that we can know to greet you. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, see the visitors table. I'm Linda Rio, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm so pleased to be with you today as your worship associate. Our music today is provided by Jamie Passman. We recognize that individuals of all ages and abilities have different needs during the service. In the living room at the back of the sanctuary, we provide a cart of fidgets and drawing supplies. If at any point you feel the need for movement, please feel free to get up and grab a fidget, engage in drawing, or sit or stand on the floor in the living room. There are also different types of seating available at the back of the sanctuary. Please see a greeter for assistance if needed. May you each know you are welcome in this house of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, your mind, and your spirit.
Good morning. Oh, it's good to see you all this morning. It was a sunny day, but a little cool. So glad you're here. I am the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. You'll hear more from me later. But right now, I would like to invite up Pam Fodor, who's our Director of Programs, with her shoes.
They're my ruby slippers. Literally. So, I have on my ruby slippers. I am going to click my heels 3 times. And we're all going to say, "There's no place like home." There are only 3 weeks left until our No Place Like Home fall auction. So far, we've collected about $15,000 worth of donations, and they are in our growing catalog, which you can click on in News and Notes and see everything listed. In our yearly budget, that the congregation voted on, we are committed to raising $20,000 at this event. So, if you are planning on making a donation, please see us downstairs at our table to fill out a donation sheet. If your committee or group are putting together a themed basket, please have one team member fill out a donation sheet. Even if you're not completely sure on the details yet, please do so. It does take some time and effort for us to get everything in the catalog, so that would be really helpful if you could do that for us. As soon as your basket is completed, please bring it to church. We'd like to get them staged before the Saturday night event, so if you can bring them, that would be great. You can drop them off at the table or be really helpful and carry them to my office. That would be awesome. We would appreciate all donations and donation sheets to be filled out by next Sunday, November 2nd. If you're still not sure what to donate, you can bring a $20 bottle of wine for our wine pick. That is an easy way to donate something. If you have any other questions or need clarifications, you can see me, Liz Reyes, who I know is here, but I don't see her. Are you here? She's downstairs. So's Nancy Kranz probably, right? Okay. Liz Reyes, Nancy Kranz, or I can answer your questions. And we're also selling tickets now downstairs for $20 each, so get your tickets. And repeat after me. There's no place like home. Thank you. Am I next or not? Okay.
Thank you, Pam. Yeah, there is no place like home. And here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Hinsdale, we understand that this is a home in which the doors are not locked unless ICE is trying to get in. That's not a joke. But it is a home where we invite everyone in, and then we take what we learn here in our home and how we're connected here in our home, and we bring that out into the wider world so that we can create home for everyone. And the auction is the place that allows us to shore up our capacity to do that. So I'm always disappointed when Pam takes her red slippers off, but she's more understandable, for sure. Okay. We acknowledge that we here in the western suburbs inhabit areas that are the traditional territory of numerous indigenous peoples. As a people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and the legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and also to work to repair that harm. This land acknowledgement is not aspirational, although it has aspirational aspects to it, of course. It's not performative, it's meant to be transformative so that we can interrogate and live into a more just relationship with the earth and with our indigenous siblings. So this song that we're about to sing always reminds me of a harvesty kind of song because it has words that say, harvest the power. And it's about gathering in. It's about welcoming in, gathering the spirit of love that is within and among us. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or in spirit and sing number 347 in your gray hymnal in the back of your chair if you need it, Gather the Spirit. invite us into worship this morning with words by Reverend Nika Eaton. Actually, Nika Eaton now. Great Spirit of life, Spirit of love, one of no names and all names, come unto us, for we strive to do the work that is ours to do in these times of struggle and uncertainty. We feel for all those who are suffering. Sing in our hearts all the stirrings of compassion. Compassion for the oppressed, for those who are frightened and hurting, for those who are sick and in pain. Blow in the wind, rise in the seas. May we listen to the stirrings of our earth and together protect our beautiful planet that holds and nourishes us. Move in our hands that we may give life the shape of justice, that all may experience equity, freedom, and dignity. Roots, hold us close so that we may feel our connection to this earth, to one another, interconnected with all. And wings, set us free so that we may soar with inspiration, creativity, compassion, and vision. Spirit of life, come to us so that we may be whole and live lives of value and purpose. May it be so. It is good to be together.
We light this chalice this morning with words by Robin Tanner. Love mercy enough to speak truth. Love mercy enough to give rest to your worthy being. Love mercy enough to see in one another possibility. Love mercy enough to know in your bones that even the seeming extinguishing of the light is a call for genesis, growth, and rebirth in the gift of darkness.
I'd like to invite up back again Pam Fodor.
Good morning again. Today in the service, you're going to be exploring how compassion takes the form of moving outside our comfort zone and responding to the needs of others. With that in mind, the story I'm going to share today is about one of our inspiring UU ancestors, who's a wonderful example of brave compassion. This is the story of Clara Barton and how she lived the value of compassion in one of the most daring and generous ways possible. She put her life at risk to help others who were suffering. And thank you to Marilyn Ludwig, my dear friend and mentor. I have Clara Barton dolls. I'm just gonna prop her up. I don't know why there's two. Probably couldn't find one, so we got another one, and now there's two. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Clara who lived on a big farm in North Oxford, Massachusetts. Clara was the youngest of her siblings, and though she was bright and curious, she was also quite shy when away from her family. Clara's family were Universalists, and every Sunday they rode 5 miles in a horse and carriage to their church, which her father helped build. At church, Clara learned a very important truth. Every person has worth and is worthy of care. That idea stayed in her heart. Now, Clara was shy, yes, but when her older brother David was badly hurt in a barn accident, Clara stepped out of her comfort zone. She begged to be his nurse, even though she had never done it before. She stayed by his side for 2 years, helping him eat, stay clean, and feel cared for. It was the first time Clara realized that compassion often means doing something that scares you because someone needs you. As Clara grew up, she kept practicing this kind of compassion. When she became a teacher, she took care to include every child, even the rowdy boys who found others difficult. She played ball with them and earned their respect. Later, she started a free public school where all children could learn, boys, girls, rich and poor. It was hard work, and some people didn't like her ideas, but Clara stood firm. She was learning that compassion means being brave enough to share what you know and believe, even when others disagree. Then came the Civil War. Clara saw that wounded soldiers were not being cared for. Many were cold, hungry, or dying alone. Instead of staying safe and comfortable, Clara loaded up a wagon full of supplies and went right to the battlefield. People told her women didn't belong there, but she didn't listen. She cooked, she cleaned wounds, and sat beside the dying, even when bullets were flying and she was scared. Why? Because Clara knew compassion doesn't always feel safe or easy. Sometimes it's about showing up when others need you most. After the war, Clara helped families find missing soldiers. She used her own money to run an office, wrote letters, and asked people for help, even when she was scared to speak in public. Her bravery led her all the way to Europe, where she learned about the Red Cross. She brought the idea to America and helped start the American Red Cross, an organization that helps people in need to this very day. Now, I love that this story of Clara Barton because it shows us that compassion is more than just feeling sorry for someone. It means moving, giving, showing up even when it's scary. She taught us that compassion doesn't just ask us, how much kindness are you willing to give? But also, how much of your comfort are you willing to give up? Thank you. And now please join in singing. Oh, I forgot.
No worries.
Yep, okay, I'm gonna take my dolly. Can I leave her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Later. Generally, we're gonna sing a song about love, and we're gonna sing it through 2 times as we send our children off to their classes. Usually when we do this, there's 2 parts. We're gonna keep it simple today, and we're just gonna do love one another, serve one another, love one another, serve one another, honor one another as equals hand in hand, love one another, serve one another, honor one another. That's how we understand. So we know how to do this, right? I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let's sing. And on the second verse, we sing our kids out. Yeah. All right, let's go.
I love that Clara Barton's story, just as an aside, because my daughter learned that here in RE. When in grade school she was asked to pick a historical figure she most admired, she picked Clara Barton and shared that with her school. There's always a lot going around this church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your box every Friday. And there are printed copies available. If you'd like to receive News and Notes, stop by the welcome desk. Everyone is invited to participate in a new UU workshop, Sunday, November 1st and November 9th. It'll be after the service in Josie Chapel on the upper level of the RE building. This workshop provides the opportunity for visitors and friends of the church to learn more about Unitarian Universalism, discover the history of our church, meet other interesting people, learn how to get involved in our congregation, and it will guide you on the path to becoming a member and learn how to get more involved. Even if you've been here for a while or you missed a session in the past, you're invited to join. Just make sure to RSVP to Pam Fodor. See News and Notes for details. You heard 2 weeks ago during Anita's service on compassion about the prison ministry. There will be an opportunity to advocate for clean slate legislation in Springfield this Tuesday. Next week, we will honor our beloved ones who have passed. Please bring a picture to share of a beloved one in your life who has passed for our altar. Many of us came to this church and Unitarian Universalism generally, in part because we seek community in which to grow and to learn and to live out our values. Because we find affirmation in service, because we recognize that what we do matters, what we say makes an impact, how we move and work in the world resonates throughout the fragile, resilient web of life. Our financial contributions to this congregation help write those stories that we want to tell to each other and to the world. We are so grateful for this, and we commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world. Now let there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we thereby write the story of love and of hope. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with all the world.
It's like a, Thank you, Jamie. And we do need times of just, right? So I'm going to invite you to breathe with me. And just take a breath. And as you breathe in, just feel your body on the chair, your feet on the floor, and just be for a minute. If you'd like to, if it's comfortable for you, deepen your breath. If that feels like what you need to do at this time, because your body knows. what you need. And in the flurry of activity and the rush of thoughts, when we pause and breathe, we connect ourselves to our body's knowledge. So just rest, beloved, for a moment in the breath. You don't need to do anything special. Just simply breathe. Notice the breath. Maybe this is the first time today that you actually paused to be and to breathe in the busyness of arriving, getting ready. Maybe this is the first time this week. As you breathe in, I invite you to see if you need a sigh. Because after Jamie played, I heard, right? I wonder if there's a need for an, So if you have a need in this breath time to go, and release, I invite you to do that with me. Sometimes we just need to sigh. As we collect ourselves from the various parts of our day and the various parts of our lives, and even the various parts of ourselves, we recall our call to worship, written by my dear friend, Nika Eaton. It was a meditation on spirit of life. And so I'm going to invite us to sing that now. Please sing with me. And this is a time in our service, having spent a moment in the breath, connecting with ourselves and perhaps what it is that you brought with you today. I invite you to do another check-in with yourself. What is it that you brought with you, a joy or a sorrow? And we set aside time in some of our services to mark our joys and sorrows, mark our events that we carry in our hearts, a joy that's so big our heart is bursting, or a sorrow in which our heart is breaking. And we share that with one another by dropping a pebble in a bowl of water, reminding us that, we came from water. We were birthed from the waters of this earth as our ancestors slithered out. We are birthed out of the waters, the amniotic fluid in which we were held. And so this joys and sorrows bowl is a return to beginnings, a return to safety and being held. So I want to remind you that pebbles can be dropped in silence, And if you have something to share, you can come forward, make a line, and share with us briefly. Here you go.
Hi, my name is Brianna. My joy is that our daughter is turning 2 this week, and in the past month, all of her living grandparents have been able to come and spend time with her and with us.
Beautiful. Happy to hear.
I'm dropping a stone of gratitude for our minister. Many of you know Reverend Beth has been out there living our values in support of our immigrant neighbors, but you may not know that she's using her voice and her experience to really support the litigation, the really important litigation that's going on. So thank you for being out there for all of us.
Hello, I'm Jay, and my girlfriend Florence is having surgery for her cancer this Thursday. So please have her in your thoughts.
Absolutely, we will.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I just have a sorrow. I lost a close friend earlier this month and former coworker, Emery Berger. She lost a 2.5-year battle with pancreatic cancer, so it's a sorrow. Her husband, Kirk, is the head of the McKee House project that Joe Staining Bear talked about earlier. Yeah, so it's a sorrow.
I'm so sorry.
Hi, my name is Kathy. My sorrow is that I had an argument with somebody that I know yesterday, and I don't think that I earned it.
Hi, I'm Gail, and my joy is that my daughter brought my 2 grandchildren down for the weekend last weekend, so I'm still on it.
I've said a few times, I think, up here about my change in jobs, and I'm now at the University of Chicago, and I, as of this week, became an abortion provider, and I feel really good about that, so thank you.
For those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, moving in, through, and among us in these times. We pause for all that has been shared and all that is held in our hearts. As we will consider she who hears the cries of the world in just a moment, we ourselves hold ourselves in awareness of the suffering here in our midst, and also along with the joys, but we pause to recognize our siblings who are being disappeared, kidnapped, and abducted, the people in Gaza who continue to suffer in the West Bank, our beloveds in Ukraine, all who are suffering from genocide and horror. Beloved, this bowl is not big enough to hold all of it, but our hearts can break and break open. My teacher, Joanna Macy, said, a heart that's broken open can hold the world. So as we move through our lives with our joys, with our sorrows, don't be afraid to open your heart. You are not alone. And you, each of you this day and in the days to come, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. last week, 2 weeks ago, you were just blessed with the beautiful service on compassion that Anita Jenks, one of our members and member of the worship committee, did. I was so struck by Anita's wisdom and her invitation for all of us to feel what compassion feels like in our bodies. So I will invite you through this service to be aware of how your body feels. And if you need to breathe, breathe. Today, I'll be looking at the vow when compassion calls us. You are looking at the Bodhisattva of compassion, and you'll hear much more about her in just a little bit. That image is a banner that I saw at, it was a Climate Justice March in New York in, I can't believe it now, 2014, where thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people marched for the earth. And I've shared this story before. In the faith contingent, there were hundreds of UUs, Unitarian Universalists, and there were, of course, there were Buddhists. And they were holding this banner up. And so much of compassion is about being able to embody a fierce compassion. Kuan Yin is the figure depicted here in the position called royal ease. You can't see it. Her hand is pointed down, and she also has a hand toward the earth. There's a poem that I want to share with you. I've shared it previously, I think. It's called Kuan Yin by the poet Laura Vargas. Of the many Buddhas, I love best the girl who will not leave the cycle of pain before anyone else. It's not the captain declining to be saved on a sinking ship who may just want to ride his shame out of sight. She is at the brink of never being hurt again, but she pauses to say, all of us, every blade of grass. She chooses to live in the tumble of souls through time. Perhaps she sees spring in every country, talks quietly with farm women while helping to lay seed. Our hearts are a storm she trembles at. I picture her leaning on a tree or humming or joining a game of volleyball on Santa Monica Beach. Her skin shines with sweat. Others may not notice what she does to them. She is not a fish or a bee. It is not pity or thirst. She could go, but here she is. I was moved listening to Anita's service. I wasn't here that Sunday. When Anita shared her first memory of compassion that she said was 90 years ago when you were 5, Anita. Mine are not that early. I don't consider myself a Buddhist, but I'm deeply inspired by Buddhism. I find much wisdom and encouragement in it, so you can imagine it was a bitter surprise for me to find my way to this path without actually really intending to. It actually kind of snuck up on me. Many years ago, I came across a short prayer that is said to be a favorite of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. It is inscribed on this ordination stool, which many of you already know the story. It reads, "For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world." I thought, okay. There was something in those words that brought out a yes, and at the time I only knew it as a Buddhist prayer. I only knew it as that quote. But it evoked a yes For as long as space endures and for as long as living beings remain, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world. And at first, it was almost like I didn't have a choice. I just found the truth of it. And honestly, frankly, didn't know. I don't think I was perfectly aware of the implications of that vow. And then I found a longer reading, which I will include as we close. And the longing and the desire and the yes just welled up in me, and I didn't know what bodhicitta was, which is the awakened heart, or an aspiration to awaken. And I was still making my way with that since I'm agnostic on the matter of what happens to consciousness at death. And what did it mean if I was foregoing nirvana, if I wasn't at least sure about it? I only know that I have this one life, and that the only thing I wanted for this life was for suffering to end, and for the suffering of all beings, human and more than human, and the earth itself. And here was Kuan Yin, who represented that. And then there's this guy, Shantideva, who was an 18th century monk who wrote a book about it, The Way of the Bodhisattva. Here's the thing about Shantideva. He was kind of a little bit like kind of an outlier. You know, the rest of the monks kind of made fun of him. They didn't really have much use for whatever he had to say. So, in order to set him up, they invited him to talk to them, to give them a lecture, a teaching. And what emerged was the way of the Bodhisattva. I understand, not that I was there, their first-person accounts, though, that Shantideva's wisdom and his call spoke deeply to the other monks, and his work has come to inform Buddhists and those of us who are Buddhist adjacent and anyone else who says, yes, yes. I've got several translations that I've read along the way, learning more concepts of Buddhism, and I found that Shantideva still spoke to me. I found contemporary American Buddhist nun Pema Chodron, who Anita quoted a couple of weeks ago in her book, No Time to Lose. In fact, at that climate march, the Buddhists were walking with these like banners too that had, prayer flags. And prayer flags just send out our prayers to the world. You don't have to be Buddhist to have prayer flags, by the way. I think if you just hung up a piece of paper or held it up or took a cloth and had an intention to send out wishes for the world, that would do. But it said, no time to lose. I learned that we can work with our minds to deal with the bad habits of thought that keep us stuck and that are the cause of our own suffering. And the things that helps me is Shantideva and the teachers I learned from don't say that we'll be free from habits or reach some perfection, which I was incredibly relieved to hear, because I know it can sound pretty grandiose. Well, I just vowed to keep coming back until all suffering is ended. I'm like, how does that sound? But I know that I don't do that perfectly, that there is no perfection, but that we keep coming back to compassion and to wisdom through practice. And then I learned about the vow of the Bodhisattva, to use our lives, this precious human birth, to work toward the end of the suffering of all beings, ourselves included. I want to share 3 approaches to this vow, and we can and do use them all. There is the king or the queen. We work on ourselves first. There was some good conversation about that a couple of weeks ago, and it's called waking up. Our intention is to benefit others, but we know that in order to do that, we have to do our own work. I mean, at least I have to continually do my own work to understand what keeps us bound and to keep coming back to that present moment gently yet firmly. So I invite you to take a breath with me and just be present to this moment. There is so much that distracts us. There's so much that calls for our attention, and reasonably so. Reasonably so in this world. In order to be present to what it is, we're present to the moment. The next way that a person can live this vow is the aspiration of the ferryman or ferry person, F-E-R-R-Y. Children writes, we see ourselves as in the same boat as everyone else. We use whatever suffering we have, emotional, physical, to connect with others. She writes, when our own depression or resentment arises, it becomes a stepping stone to understand the darkness felt by others. If we have insomnia or a toothache, a burn or a cancer, instead of making us retreat into our own little world, it becomes the basis for empathy and loving kindness. And we do this, beloved, not as spiritual bypassing, but as a way to deep identification. Just like 2 weeks ago, Anita, at 5 years old, identified with the woman who was picking up crumbs and fallen food off the ground because she didn't have her own. We also know that this works when things are going well. Others want to be in a good state too, to feel comfortable and at home with themselves and the world. She writes, may all of us be happy and at ease, and may we all experience clarity and freshness of mind. The third approach is the shepherd. She mentions that this represents what we think of as real compassion. Just as shepherds put the welfare of their sheep before their own, we aspire to put others before ourselves. And she notes that this is what many of us think we should work with our bodhisattva commitment. But truthfully, she writes, not many of us feel that we can do it. I was like, oh, what a relief. We know that there's times when we do put each other first, foregoing our own needs, risking our lives to save another, but it was a relief to know that there's more than one way that we can live out what is truly simply the desire to live with compassion in a world in which empathy and compassion is not only ignored but denigrated as not Christian. So when we say, whether we are Buddhist or atheist or Christian or whoever we are, that we put love at the center and compassion is part of that, frankly, I never imagined that that would be countercultural. We do what we can and how we can live in this interdependent web to be a benefit for others. We can all be bodhisattvas. One person told me a while ago, actually anyone can be like Kuan Yin. You may say that you don't have to have 1,000 eyes, which in some depictions she does, and 1,000 arms, or that you lack skillful means, but it is your compassion that can transform you into Kuan Yin. With your eyes and hands, you can help others. With your compassion, you bring peace and tranquility to this world. With your compassion, you birth babies, or you give people the choice of not having that child. All of that is compassion. Using our hands and our lives and our intention. Because we are, by our very nature, interdependent with all life and engendered by relationships, we are capable of opening our hearts and treating others as we've decided we want to be treated. I was struck in my 20 21 or so years, 26 or so years of ministry, how many people resonate with this idea, even if they're not Buddhists, even if they don't know what nirvana is, that they're agreeing to forego? In this time, there is at once an awakening of people responding to the pain of the world, and it's manifested in the longing to end it. So this is what, for me, is what my Unitarian, Universalist values and faith calls me to do. In an excerpt from The Way of the Bodhisattva, Shanti Davis said, "Whatever you're doing, be aware of the state of your mind. Accomplish good. This is the path of compassion." How would it be if we carried this commitment into all of our encounters? What if we asked ourselves, as Anita did as a child when we meet an unhoused person, a child in tears, someone who disappoints us, those who are being disappeared in our neighborhoods? We can't always change the heart and life of another person, but we can care for our own state of mind so that we can be present to what is, to possibly let go of resistance and judgments and fear, to find the courage to remain present when we want to flee, and equally to find compassion to forgive our wish to disconnect, to take a break. It is compassion to yourself to breathe and to take a breath. And then we bring ourselves back to the front lines, whatever they are, protecting our immigrant siblings, protecting our trans siblings, advocating for policies around the world that care for all. Every step, someone wrote, every moment is a gesture of deep compassion. Bodhisattvas come in many forms. Now, as a universalist, back in the day, I'm not sure that Clara Barton would have considered herself a Buddhist. Those teachings didn't come around, but our Universalist forebears are the ones who really brought some of the teachings and wisdom, along with our Unitarian transcendentalists, of the Eastern spirituality, including Buddhism and Hinduism. But everything that you heard about Clara Barton, what Pam didn't mention is that there were times when she was on the battlefield that she kept there while bullets whizzed by her. A cannonball ripped her skirt, and she kept coming back. Now, we don't all have to stand in the way of cannon fire or tear gas. We can be rapid responders. We can do what we can do. Clara Barton, reminds us that we all have a role to play, and maybe it's not a big one like starting the Red Cross, but we can do what we can do where we are, remembering the three paths: to work on ourselves, to help others, and to, at times, perhaps, sacrifice for others. One of the ways that we can do that is through practice. So I'm going to invite you into a short practice right now. And we're going to go ahead and sing what is called a metta meditation, but filled with loving kindness. You can stay seated and just sing with me. May it be so. So this inner and outer compassion toward ourselves and patience and compassion toward others, even those who are hard to love or who appall us. We understand that they are suffering. And it is hard at times, in these times, to be a universalist. Remembering that our universalists did not believe in hell. Because we know there is a living hell happening right now. As we stand at Broadview, knowing what's happening in the abduction center right down the road that we can't get close enough to anymore, and we people express quite vocally their displeasure, which is fine. This Friday, about 15 Unitarian Universalist ministers, members of our congregations, at least 15 members of other clergy, so there are about 30 clergy, and hundreds of people gathered at Broadview, and the Unitarian Universalists held a flower communion. And we told the story of the flower communion, which we will tell later on this year, and exchange flowers with one another. And then people didn't all want to bring their flowers home, so the fence along Beach is filled with flowers. The other day, I saw a photo of Gregory Bavino, who was the cruel head of the Department of Homeland Security, who was the sector chief in El Centro when I was in Southern California. And I was watching the footage of masked ICE agents abducting people. And it struck me how broken someone must be to be able to not see the humanity of others. And that does not mean that they should not be stopped. But it also, what Shantideva is very clear about in the way of the Bodhisattva, and those who expand upon it are very clear about, Pema Chodron included, what I have to interrogate in myself are the ways that I, in not dramatic ways, perhaps kidnapping people, abducting them, terrorizing them, and killing them, but what ways have I not seen the humanity of another person? What ways have I not extended compassion or didn't have a sense of fellow feeling? We can't do that all the time. And that's the beauty and the challenge of this path. Because we can't do it all the time. Some people can. I'm more enlightened people than me. But when I consider my thoughts, as I look at the people who are perpetrating such tremendous harm in our communities, in Gaza, Ukraine, West Bank, all around the world, I have to look at myself. And it's not easy, but if we try and walk this path, I can't claim some purity and perfection. And at once, that is the freedom of this path, and it is the journey of this path. When taking the vow, whatever it means to a person, we start with ourselves, as we sang, then someone close, and then eventually all sentient beings. That's the metta meditation our song was taken from. Someone wrote in Tricycle magazine quite a while ago, in taking the Bodhisattva vow, we're acknowledging that we're not going to be instigators of further chaos and misery in the world, but we are going to be liberators bodhisattvas inspired to work on ourselves and others. Spiritual Buddhist teacher and psychotherapist Jack Kornfield reminds us there's a simple way to take a vow. To take such a vow is to set a direction, a sacred purpose. You can create your own vow. It might be as simple as, I vow to protect those in danger. And quiet your mind, steady your heart, and set your deepest intention. And it will help you to be strong for the long haul and know that we will come to the vow over and over and over again. In the words of Mary Oliver, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk through the desert on your knees for 100 miles repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, she goes on to describe the geese flying home over mountains and valleys, and says, you are not alone. I will close with a longer excerpt from The Way of the Bodhisattva. As no one desires the slightest suffering, nor has ever enough happiness, there is no difference between myself and others. So let me make others joyfully happy. May I become at all times, now and forever, a protector of those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those who are in danger, a lamp for those without a light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, a servant to all in need. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick in the world until everyone is healed. May those feeble with cold find warmth. May those oppressed be filled with heat be cooled. May the rains of lava, blazing stones, and weapons from now on become a rain of flowers. May all battling with weapons now become a playful exchange of flowers. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting one another. For of all, as long as space endures and for as long as living beings remain, may we too abide to dispel the misery of the world. And the message of the Buddhist tradition and of our tradition is the reminder of this. Even if the language is in I, we do not do it alone. We need one another. In Buddhism, we'll call it the Sangha. We call it the beloved community, the not yet coming into being. Because I need you, I need my community, I need the people I practice with to be a reflection of how I am and who I am, and to call me back to each moment, to the simple opportunity to breathe and to love. And join me in our chalice extinguishing words, which I love. I've been using this slide since the election. It's the phoenix. Please join me in these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of its community, or the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing song. It's number 6 in your gray hymnal, and the words of the last verse are changed some. Just notice a little bit of a change in the words. close with words adapted from Thomas Merton. The whole idea of compassion is based on a keen awareness of the interdependence of all these living beings, which are all part of one another and all involved with one another, because we just need to, what, Jamie, get by, right? You're going to take us home? All right, do it.